12th SS-Panzer-Division Hitlerjugend was one of the most controversial German units to fight in Normandy. Formed in 1943, the division was made up largely of teenage boys drawn directly from the Hitler Youth. While they lacked life experience, they were heavily indoctrinated and placed under the command of veteran SS officers, creating a force that was both militarily aggressive and ideologically extreme. When Allied forces landed in Normandy, on June 6, 1944, the Hitlerjugend division was rushed toward the front to block the advance toward Caen. What followed was some of the fiercest and bloodiest fighting of the campaign. The young soldiers fought with a determination that shocked Allied troops, often refusing to retreat even when outnumbered or surrounded. This stubborn resistance slowed the Allied advance, but came at an enormous cost in lives. The division quickly gained a reputation for brutality. Elements of the unit were responsible for the execution of Canadian prisoners of war in the days following D-Day, crimes that later became part of war crimes investigations. These actions cemented the division's place within the broader criminal legacy of the Waffen-SS, an organization declared illegal after the war. At the same time, many of the division's soldiers were still adolescents, thrown into extreme combat conditions with little understanding of the political machinery they served. In the hedgerows and villages around Caen, they endured relentless artillery fire, air attacks, and close quarters fighting that aged them years in a matter of weeks. Casualties were devastating, and entire platoons were wiped out. Otto was one of these young soldiers, a low-ranking infantryman caught in the chaos of Normandy. His experience was typical of many in the division: constant movement, exhaustion, fear, and loss. The famous photograph of him taken near Rotz captures that reality. Not triumph or heroism, but strain, confusion, and the psychological toll of modern warfare on someone barely out of childhood. By the time the division was pulled back later in the summer of 1944, it had been effectively shattered. Normandy marked the beginning of the end for the Hitlerjugend division, and for many of its young soldiers, it was the moment when ideology collided brutally with reality. Otto and Klaus Shuh were working together as a machine gun crew in Normandy with the SS-Panzer-Division Hitlerjugend in the summer of 1944. Both were awarded the Iron Cross for knocking out a Canadian Churchill tank with just an MG-42 machine gun. With no other weapon at their disposal, they aimed tracer rounds at a fuel tank on the Churchill and took out the enemy tank. While Otto survived the war and passed away in 2011, Klaus was killed in action in June 1944. Klaus Schuh and Otto were both born in 1926. When Hitler came to power, like the majority of boys their age, they joined the Hitler Youth. Ages ranged from 15 to 18. In this image, Klaus Schuh is shown in the center with his newly presented Iron Cross Second Class. Otto is in the background with the frown. Here, Otto carries a box of Schuh's MG-42 ammunition following combat in Normandy. Schuh is pictured here with his MG-42. Another machine gun is being carried in the background. This is perhaps the most iconic of all images taken of the Hitlerjugend division. Otto rests against a wall in a Norman lane awaiting further orders. The exhaustion of constant combat is evident in his eyes. While Otto survived the war, he and Klaus Schuh were broken up. Klaus was killed in action shortly after these images were taken,